Hey, yes, ma'am. Hey, guys. You know, it's KLA the Wanderer, and I'm here with a legend, Raye Hollitt. She's a former American Gladiator, as you see on her shirt. She was an actress in the movie Skin Deep and the other TV shows like Jag and Manhunt. I didn't see Manhunt, but I've seen some clips of you in Jag. Yeah. Wow.
That was fun
I
time.
mean,
Yeah, I'm surprised. Sure.
yeah. So like so you was a bodybuilder in the 80s. Like when did you started bodybuilding? Like at one point. I know you competed in 1988, the NPC bodybuilding show, and you won that. And then I think the following year I think you was second place at another show. How many shows you did in bodybuilding
That's a great
competing?
question because I started in Pennsylvania where I grew up, and I won like a local, it was called Ms. Anthracite, and then I ended up just training much harder and harder and ended up winning the Miss Pennsylvania. And that was back in 82, 82, 83. And then I moved to
Okay.
LA and I kept bodybuilding.
Okay. What made you want to do bodybuilding? Were you inspired like seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger at the time or other?
Back, yeah, back then I was very, very skinny. When I graduated high school, I was about 110 pounds, but I was still an athlete, and I ended up on a bodybuilding stage because of a gentleman, a bouncer that I met back then. They did couples competitions, and our bodies kind of he was we were going for the universe, and I was so thin. He just pounded me with doing heavy weights like powerlifting to put some muscle on. But when I went in he pulled out of the show. He slipped a disc in his back, and then I just kept going forward with it. Um, Rachel McLeish was an inspiration, and then it just kept growing. The women it just kept evolving. Corey was one of the first ones that I was just motivated by. And then I left Pennsylvania, moved to Los Angeles to the Mecca of bodybuilding. And yes, I did run into Arnold and Lou Ferrigno and anybody who's anybody in our bodybuilding world.
Yeah. You know, I've seen a lot of clips of you. You was on TV shows. You know, people. I mean, body like bodybuilders, like women bodybuilders, they had more attention in the media more than they do now. Like, how do you see it now? Like, I know, like you're a personal trainer. You do personal training with other athletes. Am I correct?
I've been doing that for a very long time. I'm just really knowledgeable and experienced when it comes to the physique and what people need or are looking to gain or lose weight. But that kind of segued in from being popular with the bodybuilding because of who, you know, before television, I was on 28 covers of magazines and I
Yeah.
was all over the world, and that was my world. So when television came in to play with the gladiators, bodybuilding was a stepping stone to gladiators. But yeah.
Yeah, I could show you some, like in the cover of. I remember this magazine, Muscle and the Muscle Development.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you was in Women's Physique World. Yeah, they
Yep.
do a lot of pictures. Yeah, like did anybody approach you like in Las Vegas? I mean, I'm Los Angeles. Excuse me.
Yeah, not Vegas. No, I learned how to put on some muscle because Rachel McLeish had the body that I was aspiring to, follow. But then once I started powerlifting, I finally started sculpting the body. Because in bodybuilding, you've got to get bigger and then tone it down and sculpt it. And that's what I did. In the beginning, there wasn't much to sculpt because I was so thin. But bodybuilding was just starting back then. So I got on the bandwagon early, pretty early.
Yeah, I was interested in knowing about more of bodybuilding in the 80s. I did like a live stream and to talk discussing about, how bodybuilding was different then. I mean, it's not that different, but there's certain things. There was some things is different than it is now with the divisions and stuff. Fit model, women's physique, and women's bodybuilding, of course. You know, like, what's your take on these divisions after those years of you competing?
I believe I got out of bodybuilding at a really good time. Um, it used to be women in the bikini doing routines or flexing, no heels, no bling and jewelry. It was more like athletic. And now, it's all about the hair and the heels. And I mean, I remember I used to do appearances as a bodybuilder on stage, and that's when I would wear the sequined or studded bikini and the earrings and all of that. But prior to doing appearances, because when you do an appearance, you go out and make it's like halftime. So you show what you got. And when I got out of bodybuilding, one of the reasons was because the steroids were rampant. Not everybody, the women that I
People.
knew who were taking, enhancement drugs, sorry, but they start looking male, more male. And I wasn't going to go that route. So I couldn't compete. I went to the nationals and I stood on stage, and the women around me, I just couldn't compete. But now I think back in the 80s where uh, the fitness and these new divisions in the bodybuilding world, that bodybuilding dropped off the map a couple years ago. There wasn't any bodybuilders. I remember after Linda Murray won so many competitions, or the Olympia, after Corey, and the size just kept getting. You have to have more muscle, but that really altered the look in the face. So when it comes to the fitness divisions, there's even wellness. It opened up the gap instead of just having to be real muscular, almost manly on stage. The women, which is not my thing. I wasn't into putting on heels and turning around, putting a bikini on and showing my glutes we never had to do that. You could see our glutes or our butts on stage without having to bend over, and that was like a focus. I didn't like that. I still don't like it at all.
Yeah. I'm assuming you pay attention to like Miss Olympia and other shows.
I have been to a few shows.
Uh,
I don't like the way the sport is now. It is
yeah,
what it is because it's, 30, 40 years older, and the promoters can, do whatever they like. There are so many more women. To me, it's a financial thing. There's too many
yeah,
divisions where you have
yeah,
to pay your entry fee for this one division. Then you have to pay an entry fee for another. And a lot of people will walk off with a trophy, whether they even won. It's just like for showing up, which to me is that's not what bodybuilding was about back in the day. And even with
Like
the men's, I mean, unless it's the Olympia or some big show, it's all the like men in board shorts. It's like so they don't have to
I don't
train
really
their
watch
leg.
the men too much.
Okay. So
I
anyway,
know, I'm familiar with this bodybuilder. His name is Nick Walker. That's it. And then I know about him because I've attended the New York Pro here in New York City and stuff. Well, it's in New Jersey, but I've been attending years, couple of years. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, me, growing up, I watched the American Gladiators. I know you hear that with a lot of people, and I was watching, well, not the documentary. I was watching like YouTubers talk about the American Gladiators. That you guys had it really, really tough back then. Like it was a financial thing, and a lot of issues going on there. And just watching it, I used to be really excited looking at it. I was like, had to be like in high school when I seen you. And yeah, yeah, I mean, you guys were like superheroes. That's what I'm trying to say.
K
That just looking at you guys.
KLA. Behind me is a shadow box full of memorabilia with a lunchbox, a thermos, the doll for sure, napkins, a raincoat, taffy, gum, napkins. It goes on and on. And the gladiators at the time, when you're in your 20s and you have a TV show we didn't know any better. Like right now, I'm hoping the new show, the new gladiators, um, that they are putting out now, I hope it does well. I really do. It's not like it used to be. It's not the red, white, and blue, and the men and women are just a little bit too over the top. We weren't about wrestling. It was true grit. At that age, all of us were just athletes and or bodybuilders or pro football players. And now it just seems like these guys need to tone it down. They're not likable. That's in my opinion. I've only seen a couple episodes. They're they're not likable, but that's my
When
opinion.
it
And
come on Amazon, on like when the new one came on, like I know I didn't really look at it. I just see it on like video clips and stuff.
I, quite frankly, I have no idea. It'll just
Yeah.
pop up. It's not Netflix, that's for sure. It's not Prime Video. Um, just like with you, it'll just pop up when I search for something, and I don't know what station it's on.
Yeah.
Um, but I will tell you this: as sad as this sounds, I have to fast forward through it. And here, what's very strange, I do. I fast forward to the games. I don't like the introductions for the gladiators. I don't know if that's the producers or even if Johnny Ferraro is involved because he's the one who created us back in the 80s, late 80s. But it's crazy because I just got a text this morning from Nitro and Laser wanting to find out why are they using clips of the old gladiators, because we didn't get a dime for any of that merchandise, not one dime. But
Yeah,
back
I've
then,
heard that. Yeah.
mm, if you saw Muscles and Mayhem on Netflix, that was
No,
true
I didn't
true.
see it. I didn't see it. But I was watching like YouTubers talk about it, and they really wasn't happy. It seemed like they were really upset with the producers because the producers did you guys really dirty. Like there's a lot of injuries, especially on certain events like the human cannonball. It was like one one gladiator. His name was, I forgot.
Malibu.
Forgive me. Yeah, Malibu. He got knocked out. He got knocked out with his own knee, and yeah, it was brutal. And then they had to like change other gladiators during the season. Like, I think the best season you was like the well, not the best season. It started getting better for you guys in season 3, and
Yeah.
then 96. I think they changed other gladiators, and you guys felt like, yeah, you guys needed more money, and they didn't want to give it to you, and that's when it got canceled. You know,
And
that's what.
I, yeah, I quit before that because I did Playboy in 96. So when I did Playboy, it was photographed in 95. And then I just had enough with gladiators. It just became a monopoly. And so I quit. And then they called me back for one, I'm not going to say one last show, but that was the end of it. I was a gladiator going against my gladiator friends. I suppose it was fine, but we really didn't want to go against each other. You know, it was up on the jousting platform against ice. And, you know, I've been doing that for 6 years, and you get really good at certain things like the wall. I got really good at the rings. But then going
Yeah, I
against
remember that.
your
Yeah,
friends
yeah.
wasn't, it didn't, we were laughing. Lori Fetrick and I were on top of the podium with the joust looking at each other going, go ahead, take a swing. We were laughing up there. You can't see it because we had helmets on. But like, okay, I'll hit you, you hit me. Because I rarely went down off that joust platform. And Lori did too. So we were just banging away. It didn't make for good television, let me tell
Didn't know that.
you.
Yeah. I mean, they got like a UK gladiators from what I see. You know, I don't know. Have you ever like seen like some clips of it? Like, and what's your thoughts on it?
I'm happy that there are spin-offs in other countries. We went to Japan. That spin-off was, and we didn't go as gladiator. Well, we kind of hosted the show. We weren't competing, and got sent to Japan to host it twice. The show was called Bam Bam Bam, and
Mm.
their gladiators were all dressed up and had face paint on, and they did it their way, and it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I
Where
think
it's
it's I'm sorry. I think it's like more of an inspiration on what you guys left off. You know, at, from what I hear, at the beginning, the producers that made the show, they didn't know what they was doing. With I think they was mimicking something like I forgot, but they really didn't know what they was doing, like in terms of certain events. Like they changed I think the joust. Like I think it was like a rig, like two rigs where they fall off, and
right.
then I think then they started improving on certain areas of the tournament. So yeah.
It was a hit and miss. The problem was that we were the guinea pigs to test the games. There wasn't any, like, we had to test everything, and a lot of people got hurt. Like you were saying, the joust, that was a platform that would drop, that would, the platform would drop out of you. You'd end up going down. It went like this,
Yeah.
and too many people were, cracking their head on side of that platform. That was so unsafe, and so was the human cannonball. Like, that was just stupid. Um, but we all did it. And I learned pretty early how to do physics, where if you hit the person at the same time with the same speed and not speed, the same force, it balances it out. So there's a woman, a basketball player, who was had a lot of weight on me, and I was scared poopless, we'll call it that. And I went up there and I was waiting to get nailed, and she came down. I hit her at the same time, and I didn't budge off that platform, which was miraculous. I wish I would have done that the previous times, but everybody, we just hated that event.
And, watching it on TV, it looked it cool. I remember I told my friend, yeah, it looked it cool. I didn't know you guys was going through all this stuff that, you explained it now, because you're like, wow, this is amazing. I remember I had a friend, I was telling him that I wanted to compete in it, and he was like, you're not athletic enough. So I'm like, whatever. But I mean, I think you guys inspired a lot of people, and just just hearing the stories is wow. You didn't, and then at one point you guys were like on the road doing tours, and that
we
that 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 I know that was pretty exhausting. So
Yeah, I mean, we were so excited to do it, so excited. Um, but the problem was we didn't realize we were going from city to city. We started in Maine. We flew to Maine out of New York up to Maine on this tiny little. You got all these big old bodybuilders, athletes, pro football players, um, track and field athlete, gladiators, and we all sat on this little Cessna going into Maine, and that's where it started. That's where we started doing the tour, and we got to see our tour bus, which is kind of that's a huge memory in all of our minds because we had our bunk beds and we went from city to city, and back when you're in your 20s you don't really get tired. Our thing was we got injured because we were going night after night in the arenas. When we got to Madison Square Garden, that was the height of my career for that. It was so amazing to see
no,
us on
that's
the
good.
marquee. We saw,
Yeah,
gladiators coming on the date, and that
yeah, I
was,
remember that. I remember that. I remember that. I never, attempted to go, but I would. You guys were on TV. You guys were on Family Matters at one point. Other shows that I can't even remember, but you guys were popular, pretty much.
yeah, we did a lot of cameos. And in between, because the show, the way they filmed it, it was a couple weeks. That's it. And it was during the summer, and the rest of the time off, you go back to your day job or competing, and that was cool. Except the tour did take the toll. We did get some good money for the tour, though, I will say,
Yeah.
but it became grueling after a while, going and having to compete with injuries. They also had,
Yeah.
after I quit, they went down to Florida in Orlando and had that dinner show. It was live, and I didn't go because I had just had my daughter. Um, and I'm so happy that I didn't go because watching the Netflix documentary, like even Lori Fetrick, Ice, who they were down there, and it was kind of, I hate to say it, it's kind of a joke. People are eating in an arena, like, and watching gladiators, it was staged down there, so they didn't get hurt, but it was night after night, and I'm just so happy I didn't go.
Sorry to hear that. So, I want to move on to your acting. I mean, like the first movie. I think that's the first movie you did with John Ritter was Skin Deep. I was watching that few weeks ago. Yeah, you didn't do that bad. I mean, you were a bodybuilder. Well, I could show a clip, a little bit of clips of it. The rest, right? I know we ain't got that much time. Yeah, I mean, it was a funny movie. I like John Ritter. I didn't know he was. That's the first. That's the first movie I see him actually cursing. He was very. I can. What was it like for you working with him and doing that scene?
I got pretty lucky because I really wasn't into movies and TV back then. Training twice a day in the gym. Um, we didn't have cell phones or iPads, so getting to the gym to to get the body parts up to par for the next show. And that's how I got that role. I was off season, which means you're not dieting, you're pretty much powerlifting, putting on as much muscle in the places that are needed. And then you trim it down. If there's a competition, you sculpt it. But I think it was the timing with Skin Deep because I had no interest in being an actress. I didn't know how to read lines. The guys at Gold's Gym in Venice said, "Ray, you should go. You should go," because they wanted somebody who still looked feminine that you couldn't tell when I took off the tracksuit or robe or whatever what was under there because you can't tell by the face. And too many women back then, they were already starting to go down the rabbit hole of the steroid epidemic during bodybuilding years, and I got out. I wasn't going to do that to myself, and that's how I ended up with Skin Deep and John Ritter and Blake Edwards, who I really didn't know who they were at the time, which I think is a huge bonus. So I wasn't starstruck or nervous. I didn't know what I was doing. And then um, the first day, John Ritter had me come into his RV, and he pretty much taught me how to act and what to do and just be natural. Everything just came natural. I think that's what worked for me. And they're like, "Oh, we didn't know you were such an actress." I wasn't, and I still go into anything. It's just I think preparation. I have that instilled in me
Yeah.
is the discipline
I'm
and the
sorry.
prep.
Go ahead.
No, it's just the preparation of. And if you don't know, you don't know. So you do what you're told, and it just came out
Yeah.
very naturally. So
A lot of guys, now, they would like to, a lot of fans, they would like to see women of muscle be on TV and movies like how it was, back in the 80s or 90s a bit. I remember Corey Everson. She was in other movies. She was doing what she was doing with the movies and television. But a lot of the female bodybuilders today, I don't think they, like you said, you didn't have no experience of acting. I don't think, or interest of acting. I don't think they have interest of acting. But I think it's a way for you guys to be seen, and I was talking to a young lady last week. She's in women's physique. She's in the women's physique division, and she has an interest of being, on in movies or having a role. So, like, what would be like an advice um for her? Like, if somebody wants to be in. that same, situation you was in.
Yeah, here's, not everybody knows this. I don't think anybody knows this. Um, there were two bodybuilders. There was Craig Titus, who was a professional bodybuilder, and Kelly Ryan. It took them a long time. Those two were sentenced to murder. They killed their
Yeah, I
assistant,
remember that. I think I remember that. Something like
and I went down. I live in Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe, and I went to Reno pretty much to audition for it because that was right up my alley. I knew Craig. I knew that whole crew in the bodybuilding days, and when I went, what was funny was because of my popularity and notoriety for gladiators, um, I was pretty much cut out of the film. I was on stage. This was the role. I didn't understand why they didn't use me because I think the movie would have done much better. Um, I gave the lead character a lot of advice on how to play Craig Titus, and so if anything, I should have been a consultant, not an actress, because they played my role, which was just like almost an extra, and I think they missed the boat on that, not realizing how well I knew Craig and Kelly back when all that stuff happened. I was right in the middle of it. Um, so when it comes to any woman who wants to do, the acting, I actually wrote a script, and it's pretty deep. It's called Still Waters. It hits on a lot of points, and it has to do with a strong woman who has a horrible, toxic background in growing up, and it's almost like a Rambo, but it's not sensationalized. There are no guns and shooting up because the women. I had a problem with the women who do like Wonder Woman or any of the roles. These women are like 100 pounds. Yeah, they have a gun, and the stunt women do all the dirty work, and those women do the acting. But you got to find somebody who actually can do the acting and have that physique on top of it. Because there's a handful of women I know who got into acting. The problem was they weren't good. They had a name, and I'm not going to go down that, road of
yeah, you
mentioning
don't have to
names.
name names. Yeah, you
Huh?
don't have to name. No, I say you don't have to name names.
It's crazy because they're the women who I'm thinking of, who I've seen their movies, and their popularity is through the roof. But it was either a bad script or they couldn't act. Acting isn't
Yeah,
for everybody. I believe it's a natural art form.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
All right.
how did you get into JAG? I know you was in JAG and other movies. It's okay. I could play the reel for you, or
Yeah, but we're gonna, because I'm gonna go get back in that gym in about 15 minutes.
15
So
minutes. All right, I'll play this.
Anytime I need to see your face, I just close my eyes and I am taken to a place where your crystal mind, a magenta feeling, take a shelter in the base of my spine, straight like a chicken cherry cola.
Your turn.
Come stand a little bit closer, breathing.
Everybody in Wheeler, West Virginia is going to see you on the tube, including that jerk of an ex-boyfriend. They want the female warrior who smoked 2 MIGs.
I wouldn't know what to say.
That's easy. So what's it like being a woman in combat? It's the same as being a man in combat. Well, weren't you frightened? I didn't have time to be frightened, sir.
Damn near wet my pants.
So, every time I make a night trap, my heart's in my throat.
Yeah, I didn't want to play too much. Yeah, I have a little bit of. Yeah, I mean, you seem like you had a little potential. You probably could have kept at it. Like, was it was it because they didn't really want to go for that muscular women look? That's why you stopped, or you just stopped because you didn't see why you should keep going
No,
into acting.
that's a flip coin right there. Um, I did test shots for Playboy after Gladiators, and I knew I was done. I did test shots in Hawaii for Playboy, and I had my long hair, and I went on an audition for JAG, thinking this could be a real good another run for an episodic. It worked for the military. I had that persona anyway. I don't think I was overly muscular when I did JAG, but when I auditioned, Don Belisario, who wrote it, directed it, that's his baby. I cut my hair. I was like, back then, that was when you were in the Air Force, Army, Marines. The women had short hair. They didn't pull it back. It was like G.I. Jane. You cut your hair. And so I did. And then I'm sitting in Pacific Palisades on a bluff overlooking the Pacific, and I get a phone call saying that Playboy greenlit my pictorial. It wasn't a centerfold, it was a pictorial, 6-page. I got paid. It was very lucrative back then. And then I went for JAG, and my hair was short, and the role was awesome. I thought, here we go. This is going to be, it was down in Corpus Christi on an aircraft carrier, and Playboy wanted me, and I was like, my hair is short now. I don't look like I did during the photo shoot in Hawaii. I had the long hair, slimmer body, more tone, not really muscular, because it was, off season, we'll put it that way. And then with JAG, after, it was an amazing experience. Thinking I'm gonna have another career did not happen for any of us. It had to do with the studio. They're contracted. The only person that came back, because they didn't kill me off or anything. I thought I did a great job on that, and could have really went further with it. But the only person they kept on was David James Elliott. And the rest of us were like scratching our heads going, why? Like, why wouldn't they write us back in, or even have me come back? And that didn't happen. And so I ended up doing Playboy with short hair, that was probably one of the worst things in my life that I can remember. I did not feel feminine.
Playboy.
I did not feel sexy. I did not feel feminine. That short hair just was not me. So.
Wow. What made you want to do the Playboy?
Did I want to?
No. What made you want to do it? Like, is it a lot of money, or I'm assuming, or?
No, back in early 90s. Well, put it this way: to get into the Playboy Mansion, you just can't do it. You have to either have been in one of the magazines or have super celebrity, and they offered me probably what I made in Gladiators for about 4 years in one shoot.
Okay.
And it was I felt very proud to be accepted into Playboy. They did it so tastefully. We went out in sand dunes. There was only the makeup artist, who I love. He did Pamela Anderson's makeup on Baywatch, which I was on Baywatch for a stint. And he was there. The costume, pretty much, I wouldn't say wardrobe, because there wasn't any wardrobe, but they put up this beautiful bed in the middle of the desert in these sand dunes, and it was all just, everything was white. Like all of the bedding was white. It was like a gold framed bed. It was done so tastefully and professionally. I didn't feel much about the nudity because I was really good and safe in my body. But the only thing was the short hair. So
Did you remember Bill Dobbins? What did you have you ever met Bill Dobbins? That's what I'm trying to ask you.
what
Because he
about
did
Bill
a
Dobbin?
book. No, he did a book on the muscular women at the time, and I don't know if you remember, but Linda Murray, other people
I was in
were
it.
oh, you was?
Oh
I
yeah.
probably need to check that out. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Women of Strength, something to that effect.
yeah,
And Bill Dobbins passed away a few months ago.
yeah, yeah. I know it.
Okay.
That when you was saying explaining it, talking about the Playboy, that's where it just popped in my head. Yeah, so yeah, I probably need to check that out. Check you on the Playboy because I never really wasn't looking at Playboy too much. I like the women's physique. I like the more of the muscular women
Yeah.
at during that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
KLA, I need to finish this
all right,
up.
I don't want to take you hostage. I appreciate you, giving
Oh,
me the opportunity to talk with you. But maybe in the future we could talk more if you're interested again,
yeah, I can
But
go
thank you.
on and on and on. There's so much to tell.
All right.
But thank you for having me on.
Thank
And
you. Thank you for accepting.
you're welcome. Nice.
All right.
KLA The Wanderer.
Yeah. You can check me out on YouTube.
All
All
right, I
right.
will. All right,
All right. Bye.
signing off. Bye.